On January 13, 1999, 18-year-old Hae Min Lee disappeared after leaving Woodlawn High School in Baltimore County, Maryland. What initially appeared to be a missing persons case would later become one of the most closely examined murder investigations in modern American criminal justice history. Hae Min Lee was born on October 15, 1980, in South Korea. As a child, she immigrated to the United States with her family, eventually settling in Maryland. By all accounts, from friends, teachers, and family members, Hae was a responsible and motivated student. She attended Woodlawn High School, where she was known to be academically strong, socially active, and involved in extracurricular activities. At the time of her disappearance, Hae was a senior preparing for graduation. She held a part-time job at a lens crafter's store in Hunt Valley Mall and regularly helped care for her younger relatives after school. Friends later described her as organized and reliable, someone who followed a consistent daily routine and took her obligations seriously. Hae was also navigating typical challenges of late adolescence. In the months leading up to January 1999, she had ended a romantic relationship with a fellow student, Adnan Syed, and had begun dating someone new. According to statements later given to police, Hae remained friendly with Syed after their breakup, though their relationship had changed. On the morning of January 13, 1999, Hae attended school as usual. It was an ordinary winter day, with classes ending in the early afternoon. Hae planned to pick up her cousin from daycare later that day, a responsibility she rarely missed. When she failed to arrive, concern quickly grew among her family. That evening, Hae Min Lee's family reported her missing to the police. Her car, a gray 1998 Nissan Sentra, was also unaccounted for. Friends and teachers were questioned, and flyers bearing Hae's photograph were distributed throughout the community. In the days that followed, search efforts intensified, but there were no immediate leads indicating where Hae had gone or what had happened to her. For several weeks, Hae Min Lee's whereabouts remained unknown. Her disappearance weighed heavily on her family and classmates, while investigators worked to piece together her final known movements. What began as a missing teenager case would soon take a far darker turn, altering many lives and leaving lasting questions that continue to be discussed decades later. In the weeks leading up to January 13, 1999, Hae Min Lee maintained a structured and predictable routine. She attended classes at Woodlawn High School during the day, worked part-time shifts at lens crafters in the evenings, and regularly picked up her younger cousin from daycare after school. According to family members, Hae took this responsibility seriously and rarely deviated from her schedule. Hae's personal life had undergone changes shortly before her disappearance. In December 1998, she ended a relationship with Adnan Syed, a classmate she had dated for approximately a year. Friends later told investigators that the breakup was mutual and did not appear hostile. After the breakup, Hae began dating another student from a different school. Despite the change, she and Syed continued to see each other at school and remained on friendly terms, according to multiple accounts. On the morning of January 13, 1999, Hae arrived at Woodlawn High School on time. She attended her classes and interacted with friends as usual. Several classmates later reported that nothing about her behavior that day seemed unusual or concerning. She was scheduled to work later that evening and, as always, planned to pick up her cousin from daycare shortly after school ended. At approximately 2:15 p.m., the final school bell rang. What happened in the minutes immediately following dismissal would become a central focus of the investigation. Some students later recalled seeing Hae on campus after school, while others reported speaking with her briefly before she left. Hae had mentioned to at least one person earlier in the day that she might not be able to give a ride after school, though accounts of this conversation varied. By around 3:15 p.m., Hae had still not arrived at the daycare center. Staff members contacted her family, concerned by her absence. This was highly unusual, as Hay was known for being punctual and dependable. When attempts to reach her by phone failed, her family began to fear that something was wrong. As the afternoon turned into evening, concern escalated. Hay did not show up for her scheduled work shift, and no one had heard from her. That night, her family contacted the Baltimore County Police Department to report her missing. Officers began gathering basic information, including her description, last known location, and details about her vehicle. Investigators quickly established that Hay had last been seen at Woodlawn High School earlier that afternoon. Her disappearance appeared abrupt, with no signs that she had planned to leave voluntarily. As police expanded their inquiries, attention turned toward reconstructing her final hours, identifying who she had spoken to, where she had gone after school, and what may have prevented her from completing her usual responsibilities. For more than 3 weeks after Hae Min Lee disappeared, investigators and family members searched for answers. Then, on February 9, 1999, a significant development occurred. A passerby walking through Leakin Park, a large wooded area in Baltimore City, discovered what appeared to be human remains partially buried in a shallow grave. Police were immediately notified and secured the scene. The body was identified as Hae Min Lee. She was found buried on her right side, with her body positioned in a shallow depression in the ground. An autopsy conducted by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of Maryland determined that the cause of death was manual strangulation. There were no signs of a gunshot or stabbing. Based on the condition of the body and environmental factors, the medical examiner concluded that Hae had likely died on or around January 13, 1999, the day she disappeared. The medical examiner also noted the absence of defensive wounds or evidence of a prolonged struggle. This finding suggested that Hae may have known her attacker or had been caught off guard. No drugs or alcohol were found in her system. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. Later that same day, police located Hae Min Lee's gray Nissan Sentra, parked behind a row of townhouses in West Baltimore, approximately 6 miles from Leakin Park. The vehicle appeared undisturbed from the outside and was unlocked. Inside, investigators found personal items belonging to Hae, but there were no immediate signs of forced entry or a violent struggle. The discovery of Hae's body transformed the case from a missing person investigation into a homicide inquiry. Detectives from the Baltimore City Police Department and Baltimore County Police Department began working jointly, focusing on reconstructing Hae's final movements on January 13th. News of Hae's death spread quickly through the Woodlawn High School community. Grief counselors were made available to students and staff. Friends and classmates described shock and disbelief, struggling to reconcile the violent nature of the crime with their memories of Hae as a vibrant and responsible young woman. Law enforcement began re-interviewing individuals who had spoken to Hae on the day she disappeared, as well as those who knew her well. Particular attention was paid to her close friends, recent romantic relationships, and anyone who may have had contact with her after school. As investigators reviewed phone records, school schedules, and witness statements, they sought to establish a clear timeline of Hae Min Lee's final hours. The goal was to determine how she left campus, where she went, and who may have been with her. With the recovery of her body and vehicle, the investigation entered a critical phase that would soon focus on identifying a suspect. Following the discovery of Hae Min Lee's body, investigators intensified their efforts to identify a suspect. Early in the investigation, police focused on people within Hae's social circle, including friends, classmates, and former romantic partners. Among those questioned again was Adnan Syed, Hae's ex-boyfriend, who had been interviewed briefly shortly after her disappearance. A major development occurred on February 12, 1999, when police received an anonymous phone call. The caller suggested that investigators should look closely at Adnan Syed and implied that he was involved in Hae Min Lee's death. While the identity of the caller was never officially disclosed, The tip prompted detectives to examine Syed's background and movements more closely. Police obtained Syed's cell phone records, which listed incoming and outgoing calls on January 13, 1999. Investigators believed these records could help establish Syed's location and activities on the day Haye disappeared. The records showed several calls made in the afternoon and evening, some of which were routed through cell towers near Leakin Park and other relevant locations. Detectives later used these records as part of a timeline of events. Another key figure in the investigation was Jay Wilds, an acquaintance of Adnan Syed. Jay told police that on January 13, 1999, Syed had shown him Hae Min Lee's body in the trunk of her car and later asked for help disposing of it. Jay provided multiple recorded statements to police, describing his alleged involvement in helping Syed bury Hae's body in Leakin Park and abandon her car. Jay Wilds also led investigators to the location of Hae Min Lee's Nissan Sentra, which police had not yet publicly linked to any suspect. Investigators considered this information significant, as it suggested Jay had knowledge of details not widely known at the time. On February 28, 1999, Adnan Syed was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and false imprisonment. He was 17 years old at the time of the alleged crime and was later tried as an adult. From the beginning, Syed denied any involvement in the death of Hae Min Lee. His trial began in late 1999 in Baltimore City Circuit Court. After a mistrial, a second trial took place in early 2000. Prosecutors relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, cell phone records, and the testimony of Jay Wilds, who stated that Syed had confessed to killing Hae and asked for help burying her body. The prosecution argued that jealousy following the breakup provided motive. The defense challenged the credibility of Jay Wilds and questioned the reliability of the cell phone data. On February 25, 2000, the jury found Syed guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. His conviction stood for more than 2 decades, despite multiple appeals. In 2022, prosecutors moved to vacate Syed's conviction, citing undisclosed evidence and investigative issues. After DNA testing excluded Syed, all charges were dropped. The murder of Hae Min Lee remains officially unsolved.